I grew up in a house full of paranormal activity till the age of 16, and then I moved away. Myself and my sister shared one small bedroom before moving into our mother's larger one and swapping those rooms. In the first room, the only experiences would have been that feeling of being watched, and that was prominent throughout the house, especially on the stairs, so we always ran as fast as we could. Sitting on the couch, my eyes would continuously be drawn to that point on the stairs from the sitting room. I have memories of black shadows around that area and above, sometimes in the sitting room, on the ceiling. My sister has her own experience with what she said was sleep paralysis, a woman in blue floating above her bed. But after moving into the larger room, that's when things got even more spooky and a little dangerous. I had friends who came round and point blank refused again, as they had seen black shadows in the large standing mirror we had. That feeling of being watched in that room was massive, and it wasn't a calm feeling either. It makes you go into fight or flight or freeze mode. Other times I would be alone and listening to my CDs or reading my magazines, and out of nowhere I would need to run out of there. Like a build-up of fear, I just knew I wasn't meant to be in there, in my own room. The worst experience I had was at 14 or 15, home alone, and reading a magazine at night under my covers, wide awake and the only light from my torch. Then it happened. My bed started vibrating gently at first, but it was enough to make me freeze. I curled up in the fetal position, begging myself to just fall asleep. It wasn't just vibrating after a while, but it full-on felt as though it was being rocked. I cannot describe the fear I felt in that moment, but it was like a build-up of dread, and I was 100% wide awake. My mother once told me that in that room she was woken up to a lady shaking her bed and screaming. Didn't learn about that till years later, and too scared to ask for more details. Things would go missing and end up in the weirdest places too, like keys behind the toilet when I had left them on my bed, and I think other experiences, but I won't bore you with that. I never saw an apparition fully, just those and noises like footsteps and the normal creaking of the house. But I also woke up with scratches a few times. The time I believe I saw something wasn't even in that house, but a couple years later after I had moved. I was walking to a friend's late at night with him and his brother along a country road, and I looked across to an empty house I had passed before. There were about 4 or 5 women walking in a circle. They were dressed in old clothes, think old white dresses with bonnets, and they were holding lit candles. I could see the flames. All they did was walk in a circle. I felt no fear, but as I shouted to the lads, they looked, and the house was back to being empty and dark. I've had many instances of feeling as though I was being watched and not alone. Maybe I'm paranoid from past experiences, or maybe not.